Good morning, friends. Pastor Chuck Blair here. Great to have you joining me this morning. It was so pleasant out this morning and it not chilly at all, so I decided I'd broadcast from outside today. So thank you again for joining me. Today we're looking at the question, what saves us? And it's looking at it from a Christian new church perspective. And it's something that's a lot on my mind because different Christian denominations hold salvation in slightly different ways. And we're going to talk about one possible way to do that, one possible way to hold it here today. And it's realizing that the whole concept of salvation is very different in our culture today than it might have been, say 100 years ago. So I want to start out by saying this: is that today might come across, have a few moments might sound a little ranty, and my apologies for that in advance, because this is something I think about and I have a little passion around it. So first off, anybody who finds God, who finds Jesus, and sees that as the way to go, as their life call, I love that and I celebrate it. We love doing baptisms here at Life and here at New Church Live. And if you're ever considering that as part of our church or part of a different Christian church, like I would tell you, do it. It's a beautiful experience. It's clearly taught that baptism is a wonderful step in our spiritual journey. And the caveat with that is it's not the only step that we make in life. Churches basically can be divided fairly commonly among two lines: orthodoxy, orthopraxis. In other words, orthodoxy, right belief; orthopractice, right practice. And from a Christian new church perspective, we are much more aligned with the orthopraxis. In other words, you get baptized, you see that as a starting point, and then you move forward in life with the new connection with God, trying to serve others better. That's it in a nutshell: how to be a more loving person. And I bristle a little bit. So I'm saying that up front. I bristle a little bit sometimes when churches hold out there that their particular form of salvation is the only one. That's a dangerous way to hold things. Uh, I just, I've mentioned this here before, and I'm going to mention it again, and this is where I get a little bristly. Is Rachel Held Evans very accurately said any view of salvation has to be able to pass what she called the Anne Frank test. So Anne Frank, as many of you know, was a teenager. She grew up in Holland. She actually got sent to Auschwitz and she dies there. And she died there, I think, at age 16 or 17. Now, there are some Christian denominations would hold that she is in hell to this day, being tortured through all eternity because she never converted to Christianity. That's super dangerous. Super dangerous way to think. And I bristle at that kind of theological bent that has that there's only one way, and that way happens to be the way. Because when I get told that kind of thing, it happens to be the way they believe, and everyone else is out, and we all need to believe this one thing or else. It just doesn't make sense, folks. I think back to the very roots of Christianity. When Jesus died and was resurrected, which we're going to be celebrating on Easter weekend. I mean, maybe he had 100 followers, maybe. And if you follow that kind of logic from a strict, like there's only one way, my way or the highway kind of Christianity, that meant that everybody but about 100 people were sent to hell to be tormented to all eternity. That just defies logic. That does not make much sense. And the older I've gotten, the more, I don't know, strident is probably not the right word, but the more animated I've become around the need to really confront that kind of thinking. Um, I have had, as in our congregation, we've had people die and pass away as is life, and a lot of people have struggles at the end of life, and 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 the idea of heaven should have this idea of peace to it, not this idea of eternal torment if you don't do the absolute right thing. That just doesn't really sit well in particular. And and it just creates an odd way of sort of working with other people, that our job is to save them, that my job is to save you, and or any Christian's job is to save another person. I don't believe that. I believe we're all in this life, in this journey of life, to really work towards healing. And how do we work towards healing together and creating more loving communities together? And that's why Christianity originally was called the way, because it was this way of living, very much an orthodoxy, not an orthopraxis approach, which is what are you going to do with it? How are you going to move forward? At the wedding I did down in Charleston this weekend, we were talking about 1 Corinthians 13, which probably a fair number of you know by heart. Love is patient, love is kind. We've heard all that. Well, that was Paul, and Paul's talking to me. This is like 80 years after Jesus had died, and he's saying that to a community. Like, it's a clear orthopraxis statement, not an orthodoxy statement. Are there statements that make it look like it's all about one-time decision? Yeah, there are, but we have to see those in a much bigger context. And if we do, it creates a Christianity that has these beautiful soft edges, and I want to reinforce that, these beautiful soft edges, that's able to move through life not with kind of a righteous, pietistic, my way or the highway, turn or burn kind of philosophy, but one that's much gentler. And again, like, I mean, Jesus said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. That's what this is about. This is about how do we ease each other's burdens. And again, it's Christianity is a beautiful thing. I mean, it really is. Jesus is super cool. He's got wonderful, amazing things to say, and if you can hold that, it's like, yeah, this is God speaking here. This is God incarnate telling us this is how to live life. I think we can find that gentleness and humility in our relations with other people that I think inevitably make us far, far, far more loving human beings, and help us to come in to the way we were created. We were created in the image and likeness of God. We're not created to be God, that's for sure, thank goodness. But we were created in this reflection of God, and I think no better way to be it than to be that humble and kind, as the song goes. And we learn that when we have a Christianity that has very, very soft edges to it. So that is my little thought, my little rant for the day, folks. I hope that makes sense, and that's something we believe very, very deeply here in our Christian New Church congregation here at New Church Live. And again, I would just want to be heard on this too. Like, hey, if you're ever thinking about baptism, let me know. It is a wonderful thing. We do adult baptisms, we do kid baptisms. They're always very powerful. And if that's the next step on your spiritual journey, just think of it as a beautiful starting line, a beautiful way to kind of mark something and continue moving on with life that's more and more attuned to God and all the good stuff out there. All right, friends, that's my thought. So, with that, what we're going to do is we're going to let the birds and the traffic on Huntington Pike here join us for our little meditation. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ring our little prayer bell here. For those of you joining us the first time, you just listen to the prayer bell, let it ring, just breathe, 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 and then we go into a little meditation using an ancient piece of scripture to do that. Then we follow that by the Lord's Prayer. We follow it by another ancient blessing. And then what we do is I'll say hi to folks on social media. So with that, friends, let's all get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. All right, dear friends, let's do a little cheery hello here to folks. Say hi. Got a couple comments there. All right. Patricia says hello. Great to see you joining us. Linda, Christianity with soft edges. I love that thought. And it thanks for saying that, Linda. It really does have to have soft edges. I mean, that's what Jesus is all about. You know, he clearly was a man with incredibly soft edges. You look at all the people who he talked to, who he addressed, who he healed. It was all across the board and beautiful stuff. All right, let's hop onto this now. A few more comments here. Rita, good morning to you, and I hope you're doing well. Linda, good morning to you, my friend. Sherry's writing, good morning from Asheville, North Carolina. And Sherry, that's where I was just a few what feels like a few days ago. I guess it was a week and a half ago. So beautiful place down there in Asheville. So folks, I'm wishing you all the very best. God bless. Have a great day filled with some soft edges. Take care. Bye-bye.